Racy, broker of Century 21 Home. Thank you very much for watching today. We have a great show today. Today, I'm going to give you 10 great things to improve your listing presentation. Because now, first, I'm going to disclose it's going to take a little longer because there's 10 great things here. Normally, I try to keep it about 5 or 6 minutes. So this is going to be about probably 10, 12 minutes just to give you a heads up. So where you're watching live, or if you're watching the recording on Facebook, you know how long it's going to be. So first, the listing presentation, of course, is the most important tool or system that you have as a realtor to get business. Listings are the most important thing that you need to get to be successful in real estate. I always tell all of my agents and new agents, experienced agents, that you could work several listings, many listings. It could be the number, I don't even know. Everybody has a different number. How many listings that they can. But buyers are great too. Great buyers that need to buy now and have motivation are great too. But how many buyers can you personally, yourself, without any help, run around every day? You could actually have 10 listings, but 10 buyers that want to see houses every day, that doesn't work. So I'm going to give you 10 ideas and tips and things you could do to improve your listing presentation. Of course, if you're with Century 21 HomeStar, reach out to the office. Helping presentations, any office or company that you are with, look to that company, that franchise, that company, and they may have already pre-made systems to help you build a beautiful listing presentation. But here are some things to add to that or make sure are in that. So first, you always want to make sure that when you go on a listing presentation, that the decision makers are there, the spouses, the partners, the children of an estate. Make sure you ask that all the decision makers are there. And I'm sure you've been sold other products out there, buying a car, buying appliances, whatever. And they always say, make sure the decision makers are there. So you go on a listing presentation, you want to make sure they are there. Now, when you are in front of those decision makers, maybe a family is a husband and wife, you have to first ask them, the first number one thing you ask them is what they expect out of you. What do they feel are the most important values as a realtor that they are looking for? And that's number one. And two, and have they bought and sold property before, and how long ago? So that affects your marketing plan, your listing presentation. If someone, this is their first house that they're selling, they bought a house once, obviously that house, and this first house they sell, and this is brand new to them. Now, how long ago did they buy that house? If they bought that house 35 years ago, wow, has the real estate industry and marketing and listing presentation changed in 35 years? Did they buy that house 5 years ago? How that's changed. And also, when you find out if they've used a realtor before, what's important to them, their experience. Sometimes you get someone that's buying or selling a house, and they sold 10 houses in the last 20 years. You start asking those questions of what's important to you, communication, marketing plan. They'll tell you the good parts and the bad parts of the things that they have had in the past. So that helps you highlight your marketing and your listing presentation. So that's why some agents like to do a pre-listing presentation. That's optional. That's an option where you meet with the clients or talk with potential clients over the phone or in person, and have a pre-listing presentation to find out their needs and wants, so you could customize your presentation. Or sometimes you have several different listing presentations in your laptop or your tablet or in paper to kind of highlight those skills, because you want to come out with those first in your presentation. So after that, one of the things you want to do, number 3, is provide a coming soon video, something that's going to separate you from the competition, because lots of clients out there are interviewing several different agents, several different companies. This might be a direct referral to you, but I remind agents every day that someone might have recommended you, but are you making sure that they might be recommended to another agent too by someone else, and they might be interviewing people. So always don't go into it. I've heard from many agents over the years that wow, I thought this was a slam dunk. I thought this was a direct referral. It's a my good friend's mother, or my best friend's good friend. Whatever it is. Sometimes the agents make sure their listing presentation is just not to the top of its ability, because, or top of all of the things that they can do, because they think they got it, and they go in there with very little information. So always make sure, be on your toes about that. So a coming soon video can help you. So shows them what you would do in your marketing with a coming soon video, sending out to all the realtors in your market, because you have all of the realtors in your market in your database. They're all in the MLS. If you do not have a database of every agent in your market, in this certain cities with certain companies, you have their phone number, you have their email address. That is all part of our MLS. It's in there. You should have a database on these things of sending that out to there. Yes, agents, of course, have, everybody has access to the MLS, but guess what? Not every agent uses it every day. Unless you have a buyer or looking in a certain area, unless you have an active buyer as an agent, say, I'm looking in this city right now, they're not looking in that city, but they might have someone that is they knew that was going to be buying this spring in a certain city, and if you sell to them, they go, wow, look at that coming soon property, that might spark them. Gosh, I got to call these people now because a good house came on the market. So any agents out there, because I have a lot of our agents too ask me, like, why do I get all this spam from other agents of new listings coming soon? Because they're trying to do a great job for their agent, for their clients. The agents are trying to spark and see if there's an agent out there. They might have a client that might not be buying for a few months, and they're just not looking on the MLS right now. So of course, those are all good things to get, because those are agents doing a lot of great things for their sellers. So coming soon video and explaining on where you're going to send that to other agents, where you're going to do that in social media and your Facebook, and where you're going to target market some places. So that's to the next tip is showing them Facebook ads. Now that's an easy way to target certain areas, people that live in an area, age ranges, school districts, or a school district, a certain city, certain area. You can really target market, and when you really know how to set Facebook ads up, it really shows that your potential clients that you have something extra, not just throwing in the MLS. You're target marketing certain people, certain cities that live in the area. Say your house is on the market. Do you have any friends or relatives that are looking in the market? Do you know anybody? They might live in the city and they need to move up or move down, and they want to stay in their city. So it's something extra, and they see that you are spending money. The one thing that I've seen over I've been in the business 27 years. When I took my training 27 years ago, at that time, we used to always think we have to personally, as an agent, spend about 10% of that commission up front on marketing, because obviously we didn't have the internet back 27 years ago. I'm sorry, dating myself here, but you have to spend some money in marketing these properties. The sellers know that, and they want to see that you are actively working hard, that you're going to be spending some extra time on doing things, not just throwing in the MLS. You're going to do some extra marketing and spending some and investing some money. That dollar amount's up to you and how much you want to spend on that. And again, Facebook marketing is great. Just listed postcards are still a staple of our business to let people know in the area that you're listed their house. Also, it helps you out too on that too. Number 5, be on time. Nothing would upset a potential seller off first if you are not on time. If you get there late, you get there, you're all excited because you rushed there, you got stuck in traffic, your other appointment went long. They don't want to see you all excited and rushed and get there late. So plan accordingly. Get there. There's Starbucks and Paneras and coffee houses on every corner. So I always suggest to agents just make sure if you're going on the other side of town or wherever you're going, go somewhere, sit down, relax, get ready, get your mindset before this, because it's an interview. It's like a job interview, and you got to think of it that way. 6, your marketing plan. You got to present them of what you're going to do, what you're going to do in your marketing plan. Just going down from, I'm putting up the sign, I'm putting it in the MLS, I'm going to have an open house, I'm going to have a broker's open, I'm going to send out a Facebook ad, I'm going to do just listed postcards. You better have a list of everything you're doing, one step at a time for them. Also, show them your track record of your listings in the area, how many listings you have. Now, with our office, and hopefully you could do this too with your office or your team, is a lot of agents are brand new in the business, or very in just a couple years in the business, and they go, I don't have a track record yet. Remember, you work for a company. You work for a brokerage, a broker, an owner's. They have a track record. I use this comparison a lot. It's like this: if you have a great support system, brokers, owners, managers, and company that's been around a long time, like our company, we've been around over 21 years. And if you have people above you, that's your track record. Ask your company if you could use their numbers, their expertise, because again, the comparison I was going to use is a restaurant. If you walk into a restaurant that's a very successful, and they're a wild, great restaurant that everybody goes to, and the server or the salesperson that you're going to be first, that's going to help you throughout the whole process of your experience at that restaurant, if they're new, you don't turn around and walk out like, oh, my server's brand new. This restaurant's terrible. So many realtors are out there thinking that they're their own little planet. If you want to be that way, that's great. That's the great thing about real estate. But you don't have to be your own little planet and feel like, wow, I'm a brand new agent. How am I going to get business? I don't know it that much, or I don't have expertise in a certain area, or I don't sell a lot of listings in this area. Well, your company, your broker, your management has. So ask them if they're willing to let you use their numbers. In my company, we sell this many houses. My broker, my management, and that's my expertise. That gets you to the next level. That springboards you up. So look for that, ask for that, because I see so many new agents at our office. Sometimes I have to remind them of that. And I definitely speak to agents from many other places that just feel like they're on their own, and they don't know how to combat that objection of how long you've been in business, because they think that they're their own business by themselves and they don't have the numbers and the expertise. Next is your reviews. You have to have some type of review system, testimonials, something. Zillow has them on there. You could use them. Your office might have them. We use Real Satisfied system that goes right on our agents' websites, but other people could get that, called Real Satisfied. There's different testimonial systems that you could use if you want to use a system or just have them, but you have to show some track record of testimonials. We all live by them now. We all go on Yelp and we go on Google. We all look for reviews on everything we're doing. Same as your potential sellers. They want to see reviews. So, and if you don't have many reviews, then definitely reach out to your broker, your management, and show some office reviews if they're willing to let you use those too. 7 is the most important thing: pricing. So sometimes potential sellers just want to hear what you think the price is going to be. Now, of course, this is the big gray area with a lot of agents. When should I tell them the price? How do I tell them the exact price of what they should list the house for? Or should I give them an idea, or should we come up that together? Now, here are some tips and things and verbiage and things that you can say to your potential seller. Is that, one, you could give them 3 options, and 3 options are in showing them comparable sales in your area. You could give them 3 options, like, how quickly would you like to sell? Would you like to sell quickly? Because here's the comparisons of two things: what's sold and what's on the market now. The difference is this: is if several houses have sold, and there's many more houses that have sold that are still on the market in a certain price, you have to position your listing, your house for sale, in a position where that's going to be noticed by a buyer. So you have to ask your seller that. One of the things that I teach is called absorption rate. Example, absorption rate is this: simple terms, and I'll make it as simple as possible. If, say, between, we'll just say 150 to 175,000, certain maybe a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath colonial in a certain area has over the last 6 months, we'll say 10 have sold. So, and there's right now there's 10 on the market. So again, 10 have sold in the last 6 months, 10 on the market. So that would say to someone that's looking at those numbers that it's going to take another 6 months to sell 10 houses. So 10 have sold in the last 6 months. So it's like every 6 months, 10 houses sell. And there's 10 on the market. It's probably going to take 6 months to sell 10 more. So you explain to your seller, now this is the absorption rate. Now, if you use terms like that, they're like, wow, absorption rate, what's that? And if they're interviewing other agents and they don't have this terminology or are not explaining the numbers on what you are predicting of when their house will sell, that might put you over in the category of hopefully they'll use you. So explain to your sellers that, listen, when do you have to sell? They go, well, we need to sell like within a month. We bought another house. We need to, we're building a house, or that's the other end. We're building a house. We don't need to sell for 6 months because the house won't be ready for 6 months. So that's where you go, well, listen, there's the price range of what's going on out there. It's going to take 6 months to sell 10 more houses. So you should position your listing about on the low end or underneath all of that. But if you could wait 6 months to sell, we might want to position your house in the middle of that pack. And of course, there's some sellers that go, I want the top dollar. My house is the castle of the whole area. I have all of this. It's much better. Then we position you at the top and hope that we find that kind of needle in the haystack buyer that wants that perfect house exactly the way it is, exactly the way it's decorated. And sometimes we all know that takes some time. So you explain those things to sell. We need to position your house. And then this is the next thing, is that you can, through the MLS, set yourself up on a drip campaign of what's going on out there every time, or a client portal, as we call it, is that you could get every time a buy or a new house sells, lists, or goes pending in a certain price range. You should set yourself up, if you're not watching the MLS manually every day, on what's going on in the market in that price range. So you explain to yourself, listen, every day throughout the day, I am always watching the MLS to watch what's coming and going in the market. I will send those to you because we need to keep your position in there throughout. We might have to move your price quickly because other properties are coming on the market. Example, if you put your house up for sale for $150,000 and some agents just let it go. They don't even go back in the MLS and see what's going on in there. And I've seen it several times. I've had agents come into my office and we sit down and go, wow, this listing is expiring next week. What should I do? I have to tell them that. And then we see 5 houses that have sold during the listing period in that area, in that price range, and the agent didn't even know that. I'm like, you have to be watching that all the time, because those new listings coming on the market are using your listing to help position that. So if you're at 150,000, they go, hey, remember, you want to sell quicker, we need to position you, we need you at be to 145 or 140. Now, if you see that house go up for sale that's just right across the street from your house, identical in all aspects of your house, you're at 150, they're at 140, you got to call your seller up and go, listen, hey, your neighbor's house just came up for sale. It's almost identical. They're at 140. Do you want to position yourself to be competitive with them in price? Other thing is, it could go the other way. Not as often, but it could go the other way. All of a sudden, all the houses, some houses have sold. and then all of a sudden your position goes down the line and you're at one of the low ends on there, you could tell a seller, hey, there's lots of houses that are higher in price. Do you want to change your price? You don't want to do that often, as you don't want to do that $1,000 here, $1,000 there. But so many times over decades of being in real estate, I've seen agents get to the expiration of a listing, did that there was several houses that sold below them that they didn't even know that it came on the market. So you explain to your seller that you're always actively watching the market daily, like the stock market, to see what's coming on, what's going pending. And you explain absorption. You explain that you're always watching to see what the values are, because you explain to your seller, that a potential seller, that every time a house sells in your market, in your neighborhood, in your area, in your city, in your that you're changing your value every single time. But it could be just by $1,000 or $2,000. So you explain that you're always watching that. That's something that another agent might not tell them. Now, another thing, number 8, commission. The big thing about commission. So, of course, the two most things that sellers want to talk about is pricing and commission. I want to go back to pricing for 1 second. We see a lot of agents is coming up with an exact number. Now, you don't want to come up with an exact number. You want to come up with a range. This is my personal opinion, a range, a highest range and a lowest range. And then when you tell your seller, well, what do you think we should list the property for? I go, we'll sit down when you are 100% decided that I'm the best agent for you, and I feel that I'm the best agent for you, will do the best job in marketing your property. We will go over that exact dollar amount when we sit down and sign paper. Because if you give that number out of what you think, there may be another agent that comes in right after you and gives them their opinion is $5,000 more. So just because if they think their house is $5,000 more, they think $5,000 more in their pocket, I'm going with that agent. So give them a high range, like that pie in the sky, that needle in a haystack, and that low range selling as quick as possible. Everybody who saw that coming on the MLS would, that's a great deal, going fast. Give them that price range of thinking where they're going to be. Now, commission, you got to explain where all of the money goes. So, of course, sellers see 6%, 7%. They see all of that. They do the numbers. They have that in their head. So you got to explain how the commission is split, where that money goes. The biggest thing I see agents not doing is talking about the buyer side of commission. I seriously think you should almost start with that. Is that when you talk about commission, go, Mr. Seller, I have my job to do. I will be working hard for you almost every day, watching what's going on in the market, positioning your house, constant communication on every showing, feedback. It's a constant amount of time that I'm going to be doing that. But there's also a buyer's agent too. That buyer's agent, we have no idea how much time that they have spent with that buyer when they come in your house. This buyer's agent might have spent a year, and this might be their 100th house they've shown that buyer. This might be some buyer's agent, and a lot of you watching this, I bet if you have an experience of this, of having a buyer and you don't even want to go back and think of all of the time that you spent with that buyer, how much gas, how many times you've missed family things and kids parties and kids baseball games and soccer games. And when they find that house 6-8 months later, if you divide it up by hours, you're like, oh my gosh, that was $7 an hour that I probably spent on that buyer when I could have been doing other things. So you explain situations like that to a seller. It's like, listen, this buyer's agent, we have to be enticing to the buyer, because I'm going to sell your house. I'm going to market it. I'm going to try to find that right buyer seller. Now that buyer's agent come in, knows their buyer. They're going to package up all the marketing I'm doing and package up and give it to their buyer, and they're going to help sell your house too. We're both going to be working together to help sell your house. So we have to make that buyer side just as appealing as this side. And of course, then you got to come into the split with you don't have to exactly the split, but explain that doesn't all go to us. It goes to the companies. It goes to fees and taxes and all of that. So You could sit down and explain that. You could have a chart for that. There's different charts for that. There, you could just explain it on paper, but this is where all of the money goes. Now, also, there's some things that, or one thing that I always tell, the one top line, number one line, I always explain to agents that they should use when anytime a potential seller says, I want you to reduce your commission. I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is the commission that I charge. I be fair with all my clients. This is the percentages of commissions I charge to do the best job in marketing, and I'm investing my time and money that we're going to sell your house for the price that's agreeable to you to pay that commission on that. And how would you feel of me as a negotiator to help negotiate explaining the value of your house to a buyer's agent and a buyer if I can't explain and negotiate and explain to you how valuable my assets are as marketing, as in selling your house and getting the best value for your house? If you don't think I'm that good of a negotiator, explain why I feel my value is there in my marketing experience and my marketing presentation and plan to get you the best price for your house. How do you think that I'm going to work with that agent, that buyer, and trying to keep the value there? Because that's what we do. That's a big thing of what realtors do, is negotiate. I'm here negotiating, explaining to the buyer's agent and buyer how valuable your house is and should be up there. That buyer's agent, their job is to work for the buyer and try to convince us that where your value should be here. Buyer's agent, trying to get them the best value. Seller's agent, to get the best value for the seller. So if I can't explain that to you of how valuable that is to you, how do you feel that I would do to that? That's how I feel about any agent that feels that they should split that up, that they should lower that commission. It's not, I don't recommend any agent going or seller going with it, because this is my plan. This is what I like to do. This is what I want to offer you. And that's my value. So obviously put that in shorter sentences, but make it your own and try to get that point across. If you can't negotiate what your value is, how are you going to negotiate how good of a value or how high of a value their house is? Number 9, objections. You can't leave a listing appointment without asking if there's any thoughts, questions, or objections to handling. I always like agents to leave by going, or at least start the end of the process going, is there anything right now that's on your mind that would stop, other than timing of like when you want to put your house on the market, of hiring me to market your home? And then you might get those real good questions. Oh, I got to, or comments. We have other agents we're talking to. We really haven't decided where we're buying. You've got to start asking questions of what objections that they would have to hiring you today. What is stopping you from listing your house with me today? Is everything I said exactly the way you want it, what you're looking for, the communication, the marketing plan, the follow-up, everything that I'm going to be doing with you? Is there something that is from marketing, signing a listing agreement with me today? So you have to be able to go over those objections, and you can role play. If you don't have a listing appointment coming up soon, if you don't have, you want to work on your listing presentation, because this is something you have to practice. You get another agent in your office, your manager, your coach, your broker, someone to role play with the listing presentations, and really sit down and kind of craft this listing presentation, because you're on an interview. This is your business. You got to be comfortable in every step of this. So make sure you're ready for all the different objections about commission, about pricing, about marketing plans, different things that other sellers have said to you in the past of why they didn't like using a realtor the last time, or what they are worried about communication and pricing and selling in the process in the future. So make sure you're ready for those objections or questions on that. And last is follow-up. Follow-up after the listing presentation. That's something you have to create and figure on yourself. Exactly, like, should I call them, thank them, send them a text, call them, email them right afterwards at the end of the evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Please keep updated. Some agents just wait to hear. Don't do that. You should at least follow up at least the next day. And you got to figure out what type of personalities the potential clients are, of how often you want to follow up with them. There's no right or wrong answer, but there is one right answer. You have to follow up. You just can't leave a listing appointment, never call them again, because there might be another agent calling them every day, and that's the day that they pick to list their property. Of course, afterwards is based on when they want to list. So if they say, well, we want to list in the next week, well, obviously you got to call them, text them every day. Well, we're going to list within the next month. All right, maybe once a week. Oh, well, we're going to list in spring. Still once a week, once a month, and follow up in spring. If they ever say, we're not going to even think about this till April, you know when you start? In February. Don't wait till April 1st, because they said April, because they're starting to look for houses. When sellers say they're going to look, we're going to think about this and we're going to probably put it up for sale in April. Guess what? In February, they're starting to look for new houses because they don't want to be without a house and sell a house. Then what happens is they find a new house online. They, for some reason, call the listing agent, and then the listing agent of that house sells them that house, and then they list that house. I've seen that dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I've had agents come in and like, oh my gosh, these people said they were going to hire me, and they were going to list their house in April, and then found out I called them in April and they already bought a house and their house is up for sale with another agent. And it's usually because they called on a buyer, a new house. So that's another question that you got to ask when you're asking these questions of what they're looking for. If they're looking for you to help them find a new house, want them to, again, I've seen this happen. Don't put them off on someone else. So a lot of agents sometimes say, well, I don't want to be buyer's agent. I just want to be a seller's agent. I just want to work with listings. Well, at least refer them to someone that in your office, a team member, someone that could keep on top of them, because if you give them that referral, hopefully they're not going to cut you out and you're going to get their listing. But if they call a listing agent with another company, another brand, another office, of course, the first thing that listing agent's going to do is try to list their house too. And seen it happen. I've seen it happen all of the time. So don't give up that listing and I just want to take this listing. I don't want them as a buyer client. Control with who they're talking to. Give them to another agent, refer them to another agent just in case, so they could follow up with them on the buyer side. But I really think you on the buyer side, so you can control both sides and make sure and handle both sides of things. And then if you need help with them showing those houses, of course, you could find an agent with your office. Hopefully find an agent with your office that can help you with those showings if you're too busy or too far out, because sometimes agents are like, wow, they're moving way over the other side of town. I don't want to show them houses. Well, make sure that you help them find an agent there that will won't take that listing from you there. So I know all out over the place a little bit with there, but again, those top 10 things again is make sure you're with the decision makers when you go in. Highlight the things that is most important to them. Do a coming soon video to show them the extra things you can do. Talk about Facebook ads and the things that you're going to be spending money on, just listed postcards, flyers, brochures, anything that you're actually spending money on that you don't need to know the exact amount, but they know that you are investing a little bit of your money too. You have that loss too if you don't do the job that you're hired to do. Be on time, of course. Don't let them keep them waiting. Have a great marketing plan of exactly step by step of what you're going to do. Pricing. Make sure you give them 3 different options of pricing of what you think if they want to sell fast, be competitive in the market, or on the high end of be that the highest out there and needle in the haystack type. Well, if you're way up here, if you're the highest the market, where it's going to take a little bit more time to sell. Talk about absorption rate and how positioning your house, what is on the market and active now. Commissions, Really stay firm on what commission plan you want to be with. Explain to them that you have charges commission because the value's there, your marketing plan's there, your investment in your time and your money in helping them sell your house is there, and it's worth that. Objections, make sure you're ready for different objections and you can answer those questions quickly, and you're comfortable with those handling those objections. And follow up, make sure you have a follow-up program for them in your system, in your contact management system, your reminders in your calendar, something to remind you to follow up with these clients over the next few days, weeks, months, before they're ready to list. So you're on top of mind when those listings, when they're ready to list. So hope that helps you, those 10 things. So, but remember, always use me as a resource. If you want to go over any of these, email me, text me, Facebook message me, direct message me, whatever, send me a message. I'm happy to help and go over these more in details. And if you have any other ideas you want to run by me about listing presentation, I'm happy to help. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day and see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.